Welcome to Fraser Mac Gaming, I'm Fraser Mac. At the start of 2019, there's a lot to be excited about for the future of the Switch. We already know about a lot of big Nintendo titles and third-party games coming this year. Games like Daemon X Machina, Luigi's Mansion 3, Mortal Kombat 11 and Ultimate Alliance 3. The early success of the Switch though is in no small part due to the contribution from indie games and their developers. We've had top-class titles like Celeste, The Messenger and Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. So which exciting indie games can we expect in 2019? What new creative adventures can we expect to hit the eShop? And what are my most anticipated indie games for 2019? Find out after this. "2018 is behind us now, and what a year for indie gaming it was. We got a lot of awesome titles spread throughout the year. Indie games played a big part of the Game Awards and were genuine contenders alongside much bigger titles. I've recently made a couple of lists of my favourite games from 2018, so check them out in the cards appearing in the top right of the screen. On to 2019 now though. I want to give a quick explanation about my list, and there's a couple of big exclusions from it. I predicted that Wargroove and a potential SteamWorld game from Image & Form will be included in the Direct. The Direct hasn't happened yet at time of recording, but for those reasons I'm not going to include them in this list. I'm really excited to get my hands on Wargroove just because of what I've read about Advance Wars and how good that was on the DS, and obviously all those fans are really excited by what Wargroove promises. Any game from Image & Form gets me excited. Any SteamWorld game or potential new SteamWorld game is obviously very exciting as well, based on the quality of the titles we've already played on the Switch and other systems. So they're not on this list, but onto the games which have made this list. Back in 2017, during the early days of the Switch, we got what is now a cult indie game, Retro City Rampage DX. V-Blank Entertainment's retro-inspired title was a parody of 80s and 90s pop culture and the original top-down GTA games. Yep, GTA used to be a 2D game back in the day before it took over the world. V-Blank Entertainment have long teased their follow-up to Retro City Rampage DX, and they have recently confirmed that Shakedown Hawaii will be coming to the Switch Q1 2019. It's a 2D open-world adventure game that this time focuses on ripping big business and their dodgy business practices, as well as white-collar crime. It has the awesome tagline, "Business in the front, bodies in the back." Shakedown Hawaii looks like it will be just as action-packed and a laugh-out-loud adventure when it finally arrives on Switch. I'll bring you news on its release date as soon as it drops. And an extra special mention, look out for a physical copy releasing on their website. I do love my retro-inspired games, and Blazing Chrome is just another example. Joy Masha and the arcade crew have teamed up to create a joyful retro-inspired run-and-gun nostalgia fest. It will surely bring tears to the eyes of Contra fans. As soon as I saw its action-packed trailer, I was hooked and wanted to know more about this bullet-filled side-scrolling shooter. You battle to save the Earth across 6 stages, and you can play as Mavra, a human resistance fighter, or as a robot insurgent called Doyle. Blazing Chrome has partnered up with Suda51, and it's been featured on a t-shirt design, like many other games, in Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes. Anyone who's a fan of retro side-scrolling shooters will be salivating at the sight of this awesome love letter to old-school arcade shooters, myself included. It's even got a flying stage. It's due to arrive early 2019, but we don't have any more details on a release date as yet. Bring on Blazing Chrome. Next up is a game that was previewed during the Indie Highlight Showcase from Nintendo UK last August. It's from 11-Bit Studios and Dead Mage, and sees you play as members of the Bergson family in a story-driven hack-and-slash roguelike. Protecting and watching over Mount Morta has been the family's duty for generations. The Guardians of the Mystical Mountain and the surrounding lands now face their most dangerous test as a family. The mountain has been corrupted, and monsters are now turning the land against its long-time protectors and the rest of the population. You must use the different heroes in the family and their unique abilities in some awesome retro combat. For fans of games like Wizard of Legend and Hyper Light Drifter, this will surely bring more fantastic hack and slash action. It looks gorgeous, and I can't wait for more announcements on when it will be available on the Switch. My indie game of the year on Switch for 2018 was Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. It was a game I followed for some time before release because of the nostalgia for Wonder Boy and the glorious art style. Magic Design Studios are due to release Unruly Heroes in Q1 2019, and it has an equally glorious hand-drawn art style. It may have a more modern feel to it, but it promises to be a fantastic action-adventure game with 4 playable characters. The game is based on the Chinese novel Journey to the West, and sees you switching between 4 characters with unique abilities to recover the pieces of the Sacred Scroll and save the world. It looks like it will provide an immersive journey through an amazing fantasy world with incredible combat and boss fights. It's made by a number of former Ubisoft employees who worked on titles such as Rayman, Raven Rabbids and Assassin's Creed. It definitely looks like they've combined some of the best elements of those games, and if they can provide the gameplay, this could be something special. Up next is something of a rarity, but it's going to be heaven for any retro Sega fans. Zeno Crysis is a Kickstarter funded project that ended up receiving over 300% of its funding goal back in January 2018. It was billed as a new original title for the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis, depending on where you're from, and also the Dreamcast. It exploded and rushed past its funding goal and achieved a Switch stretch goal that makes all of us Nintendo fans very happy. It's an arena shooter inspired by classic games like Smash TV, Contra and Chaos Engine. It tickles all my retro shooty bang bang buttons and has me unbelievably excited. It can be played single player or co-op locally as a 2-player adventure and was due to release in October 2018. Now it's a fantastic project by a very small team, so there has been a delay in its release, but fear not. It will release in 2019 and you can currently pre-order all kinds of goodies on the website, and it will be getting a limited physical release from Strictly Limited Games. Enter the Gungeon and retro Sega fans, get your wallets ready. We're getting towards the end of the list now, and we're coming on to some real big hitters. An indie classic is getting a long-awaited sequel on the Switch in 2019 in Super Meat Boy Forever. Yep, Dr. Fetus is up to his old tricks again, and Meat Boy and Bandage Girl need to take on the devilishly difficult levels to save their baby Nugget. The game will still be insanely difficult, but it's a 2-button game now with dynamically constructed levels that increase in difficulty as you beat them. You can jump and attack by punching and kicking, dive and also slide to work your way through the 100 carefully designed chunks in each level. Super Meat Boy Forever was due to be a mobile-only sequel to the smash hit Super Meat Boy, but the project was completely restarted to be built from the ground up as a console release. The game was showcased by Nintendo in their Nindies Summer Showcase back in 2017, and it's currently scheduled for an April 2019 release. Supergiant Games are an awesome indie dev studio that have produced hits like Bastion and Transistor. They're known for story-driven isometric RPGs that have stunning artwork and fantastic gameplay. Their third game, Pyre, was a party-based RPG but moved away from their traditional viewpoint. At the Game Awards 2018, they announced that their latest title, Hades, would be releasing the same day through early access on the new Epic Games Store. Hades is an action RPG where you play as the Prince of the Underworld who's trying to escape from his father Hades and reach Mount Olympus. You must use special abilities that are gifted to you by the Olympians and engage in roguelike combat from an isometric view once again. As you progress, you can collect in-game currency and keys, but if you die, you will return to the start of the game where Hades will remove your new abilities, much like in Dead Cells. The artwork looks on point, and Supergiant Games keep on producing quality titles while exploring new settings for their favourite genre of games. Hades has not officially been confirmed for Switch, but it's a good bet that it will release on the hybrid system in 2019. A huge Kickstarter success story is up next as one of my most anticipated indie games of 2019. For fans of the Castlevania franchise, legendary producer and writer Koji Igarashi will be very familiar to you. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He is the driving force behind the spiritual successor to Konami's classic Castlevania series of games. After failing to get backing from publishers, he took the Kickstarter route to fund a new game and raised $5.5 million, which was a record at the time. Last year we received a retro 8-bit platforming game, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, as part of the Kickstarter stretch goals, and it was well received by Switch fans. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night promises to be a more modern spiritual successor to games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and will be a 2.5D side-scrolling action game. You'll get to play as the main character Miriam, who featured in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and it promises to be something very special for fans of the Castlevania series. We don't have a solid release date yet, but WayForward have been brought on board to help with the development, and it should arrive later in 2019. Back at E3 2018, Devolver Digital put on another wonderfully eccentric and entertaining info performance piece of art. They brought new games, but with their own stamp and style for the whole thing, just from start to finish. My Friend Pedro arrived and left an equally beautiful, eccentric and violent impression on the gaming world. It's a violent, balletic shooter with a highly skilled gunslinger that also features a talking banana. There are balletic and acrobatic moves partnered with a bullet hell and also slow motion precision gun skills. You can jump off walls, perform flips, bounce bullets off frying pans, and also hit enemies with the severed limbs of your conquests. You must impose your will on a violent underworld and do it in style. Extra points will be awarded for special kills, and the action will be broken up with physics-based puzzles and motorcycle chase sequences. My Friend Pedro is due for release Q1 2019, and it looks like the most entertaining, violent piece of art we will see on Switch in 2019. So those are my 10 most anticipated indie games for Switch in 2019. There's a strong element of action and adult content in the list, but there should be a little bit of something for everyone in there. Let me know what you thought of the games featured in the list. Are there any games you think I should have included? And will you be picking up any of these titles in 2019? Leave your comments down below, because I always enjoy interacting with other indie gaming fans. There'll be plenty more awesome games coming to Switch in 2019, and I'll be sure to keep you up to date with the news as it happens. If this is your first time visiting the channel, then please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It really does help a lot. I bring a lot of news videos about indie games, the Nintendo Switch, and gaming content each and every week. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next video.